Hey guys, Mando's here for this week's episode of A Quick Word. And today I'm going to talk to y'all about people pleasing. Now, if we've been connected personally for a while, you likely saw back in March of 2022, I actually posted a video on my Instagram discussing some tips for people pleasing. And I'm going to delve a little deeper into that today. It's interesting to look back on where we've come and seeing that video that I had posted and just where I am 2 years later. Back then, I never would have even considered starting a podcast, to be completely honest. And honestly, back in 2022, I was personally looking for somebody like myself, like me now, to be sharing the things that I'm now sharing. So, that being said, we're going to delve in to the topic of people pleasing. So, I want to start off with reading y'all the definition, quote unquote, from Merriam-Webster of people pleaser. And it says, often a person who has an emotional need to please others, often at the expense of his or her own needs or desires. And I think that's a big key. It's not paying attention or prioritizing your own needs or wants for somebody else. Like, we're in relationships and in connections with a bunch of people, but if there is something you either want to do or don't want to do, you shouldn't be doing it because of somebody else. Now, I also listened to a podcast recently, a Mel Robbins podcast, about people pleasing. Now, she interviewed a woman who was on the Today Show. She's a doctor. Her name is Neha Sangwan, and she's an international medicine physician, a best-selling author, and she was on the Today Show. She discussed the correlation of people pleasing with health and how you people pleasing affects all areas of your life. And that was a really powerful episode. I'm going to share a link in the show notes so you guys can listen to that. But her definition of people pleasing was one of the best definitions I've personally ever heard. So I'm going to play a short clip of her definition of people pleasing. Now, this is from the Mel Robbins podcast back in November of 2023. And it's called The Surprising Link Between People Pleasing and Your Health, a medical doctor's recommendation on how to say no. And I'm going to play for you the audio of what Dr. Neha Sangwan defined people pleasing as.
So people pleasing is the moment that you give up what matters to you in order to appease or please somebody else so that you can belong, so that you don't have to confront conflict, so that you can keep that relationship intact.
Okay.
So I think all of these have spectrums, right? Uh-huh. What I'd say is, at the end of the day, what you really want is that you're able to take input from the outside world, but when it's time to make a decision, you turn up the voice, the sound of your own heart slightly louder than you can hear the voices of others.
Okay, I'm going to stop it. I don't want any copyright issues. But you're avoiding conflict. You are doing or saying yes to appease somebody else. You're trying to not have an argument or not make someone upset with you. Maybe you don't want to get quote unquote in trouble. And I love also how she mentioned turning up the inside voice when it's time to make a decision. Everybody is going to have an opinion on everything. They just do, guys. It's 2024. Everybody's got something to say about something. That being said, it's not bad to get opinions from others. But the issue comes in when you don't listen to your own internal voice. So I really encourage y'all to check out that full episode. It was really powerful for me. I also want to say, I think it's important to note for a lot of us people pleasers that I don't think majority of us are doing it because we don't care or value ourselves. It's often we're trying to help someone else. We don't want to have any issues within that relationship or connection. We don't want to disappoint somebody. We don't want to let someone down. Now, this is something I've struggled with, not just because of a lack of care or value for myself, but because of a strong care for other people and wanting to help and wanting to make everybody's lives easier and better. And if I bring anything to this world, it's that you feel loved around me. And that is something that has also contributed to my people pleasing effects because I want everyone in the world to feel seen, valued, loved, heard when they are in my presence. Without further ado, I want to share my 3 biggest tips for people pleasing and to avoid that. So, my first biggest suggestion is if you are being asked to do something, to go somewhere, your thoughts on something, you don't have to answer right away. You can either ask for them if you can think about it or tell them you're going to think about it. You don't have to say yes right away. We live in such a fast paced world that everybody wants everything instantly, that instant gratification, even responses. People expect a response right away. And unless you're real close to me, I don't usually reply the same day. Most of y'all know that. But that being said, if someone asks you to do something, if you want to go somewhere, you don't have to answer right away, even if you are with them in person. That's something I've personally struggled with. If it's been a virtual question and I can reply via email or the phone or text message, it has been easier for me to say, let me think about this, versus if it's in person. That being said, if you are unsure or hesitant about if you want to do something, tell the person, let me think about it and I will let you know on X date. Give them a time, at least a time frame, that they will know an answer from you. You're not leaving them hanging, and you're also not being pressured into making a decision right then and there. Now, after you tell them you need some time to think, let's take a step back and reflect. Ask yourself, why am I agreeing to this? Why am I saying yes to this? Why am I doing this? Is this decision in my highest and best good? Am I making this decision based on myself or based on how other people will feel? A few things to question and ask yourself. You can journal on it. You can talk about it with someone you're close to. Hell, even talk out loud to yourself. I do that. And just really figure out the why. Again, I've talked about this so much, and a lot of the guests have as well. Get curious. Why? Why'd you say yes? Hell, why'd you say no? Why were you unsure? Get in yourself And in your inner heart space, even like the medical doctor on Mel Robbins' podcast mentioned, and listen to your own wisdom. And my last tip is, after you've reflected, decide if your reason for saying yes is your own reason, your own free will, something you genuinely want to do, or if it's not. And I just want to leave you all with this. Even if people pleasing and prioritizing other people over yourself and your own wants and needs is something you have struggled with, I encourage you to recognize it doesn't make you a bad person, and awareness is the first step. You're recognizing it. That's the only way to move forward from it. So I hope this quick word helped you think a little bit about how you can prioritize your own wants and desires and not solely focus on what other people want. Because, as I say all the time, we get one life. We're here, then we're not. If you don't want to do something, don't fucking do it. If you do want to do something, fucking do it. Where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm not guaranteed to wake up tomorrow, and neither are you. So stop doing shit you don't want to do and start doing the shit that you do want to do. And on that note, thanks for listening to this week's episode of A Quick Word.